During the 0 hour, Tony Schiavone's phone went off. And how do we all know this? Because it rained! I'm John Rickman with my review of AEW World's End 2024 for the additional Financial Arena in Orlando, Florida. 10,000 seating capacity, around 6,500 people according to WrestleTix. More venues like this. You'll have hotter crowds. You won't have so many gaps. And you might actually have something that maybe ends at a reasonable time. There were a few matches that could have ended a little bit sooner, and then in the case of one, a lot sooner than it did. But that being said, even though I thought this was mostly a middle-of-the-road pay-per-view, there were moments that I didn't mind. So, the 0 hour panel, Renee, RJ, Menard, stop having Menard on these. Please stop. We need to have people that don't sound like caricature idiots when they're trying to basically just do wrestling analysis. I don't care if he actually has wrestled on, in WWE, on AEW, on the independent, I don't care. There are just certain people that should not be doing this shit. More on that later. So Garcia and Mark Briscoe are going to have a TNT Championship match at some point. So, Rockstar Toni Storm against Layla Gray, referee Aubrey, and she's a rookie chance because Toni Storm just arrived in AEW. No timeless thing, no none of this, and Layla has improved. She hit a few decent moves. This was like just a standard collision match, for being perfectly honest. I'd say Rampage, but Rampage got canceled because they had the Death Riders totally destroy the set. Kind of fitting because they destroy the ratings and they destroy my interest in the program every time they show up. More on them later. Commentary plays up Tony's rookie status, and she does get a roll-up 1, 2, 3. And then QT Marshall talks about relevancy in wrestling, and he brings the Doom. Yeah, he does, because I feel Doom every time that motherfucker gets near a microphone or gets in the ring. It's not that he's bad. I don't think he's a bad athlete at all. I just do not understand. I understood the whole AJ, the Big Boom AJ thing, even though I didn't care for it. The crowd was into it, but honestly, really, I mean, at this point. This is all because Jeff Jarrett, by the way, smashed Aaron Solo with a guitar. They had a match where Solo distracted, QT hit the stroke, only got a 2 count, Lethal attacked Solo, they fought off, stroke 1, 2, 3. There's your analysis. Lexi is with Tony, I got my first pay-per-view win. Deanna shows up and congratulates her, and hey, if they have a series of matches, at least it'll be well worked, and I don't know about this stuff with Toni Storm. I really don't know. We will see. We will honestly see if this goes, how this goes, but I think it's going to end up backfiring. Her having a split personality, that kind of stuff. Her snapping because Mariah May took everything from her and planted her on her head. Even though she'd been doing the timeless thing in Stardom and teaming up with Mia Shirakawa, which is the matchup I'd like to see in the ring, and only there. But nevertheless, I do also want to add, speaking of Mia Shirakawa, she's going to face off against Mercedes Moné. And it's either Wrestle Kingdom or Wrestle Dynasty. I forget which one. I will be reviewing both shows, but it will probably be on delay because I have to work that weekend, and I'm not taking that time off just to watch those shows. So, then the Outrunners, Turbo, you son of a bitch, along with Top Flight, and Layla Gray in their corner. She's pulling double duty, huh? And they took on Leo Rush and Action Andretti, further proving that Randy Newman was correct. If you get it, you get it. Leo Rush, the little gnat that he is, Action Andretti has been on this television program for about 2 years. I mean, off and on, yeah, he was part of Ring of Honor. But after getting that shock win over Jericho at Winter is Coming 2022, within a month, he felt totally irrelevant. And I was at the first ever Dynamite that they had, the same day Wrestle Dream was. And, yeah, people popped for Action Andretti, and then he got laid. It just, none of it worked. It's not that he's bad, it's just, whatever. Anyway, they teamed up against Lance Archer and Brian Cage, who is continuing to compare himself to Chris Benoit. Melissa, make sure the dogs are in the enclosed pool area, and make sure that your car door is open, you shove your shit in there, and you run. Hide the Bowflex while you're at it. There's Fuck Don Callis chance. Oh boy, one of these matches is what I wrote down. Why have tag rules? Shivani's phone goes off, and then they said, what did Lois want? I assume Lois is his wife. And yeah, Leo got a blind tag, hit a frog splash, 1, 2, 3. Must have felt like a flea falling on, I think it was Dante Martin. And dissension among the people. Archer could have easily chokeslammed both of these motherfuckers. If Cage actually understood, how to do anything properly without getting horribly confused by shiny objects, then I think he would have been able to squash them, but nevertheless. Jarrett is reflecting, and he has an announcement to make on January 1st. Either the next match I lose is going to be the end, and he loses the Revolution and has a big send-off, or 2025 is his last year. The man's been wrestling since the late 80s, and has battled through a lot of stuff, and while I'm not the biggest fan of some of the bullshit that he has pulled, he also overcame, like abuse issues, alcohol abuse and substance abuse, and has been sober for a number of years. And that's good on him. Hell, why not give him a title at this point? Why not give him a Lethal tag title run at this point? Because realistically, what are you... I'm not even the biggest Jay Lethal fan, but you could at least do something. So, anyway, Sweet Child of Mine was the song for the video package. I do also want to say, speaking of January 1st, due to some differing work schedule, work weeks coming up in the next month and a half, I'll be watching some Dynamites live. I'll be watching some not so live. And not that show Almost Live that used to be in Washington State. Anybody that remembers that show, you are old as dirt like me. But I'll do a video where I probably talk about, what you can expect in 2025 for content, but yeah, let's just get into it. So, Ospreay versus Fletcher in a Continental Classic semifinal match, and look, Ospreay is way over, got hit with an apron bomb a little bit early on. Kyle's leaned into the heel heat. He ripped up a sign that said Ospreay's better, and then somebody else had another sign, Ospreay's still better. Ospreay was bleeding. He hit a gusher, and I'm not talking about the fruit snacks. He was bleeding a lot. He was bleeding a lot. Quite a bit. He bladed too deep, and he wasn't able to keep all the blood in his head. I thought he lost a pint. So, at one point, the boot gets a bunch of blood on it, and then Fletcher licks it, and look, yeah, bloodborne diseases won't affect me, and ow! That's almost what got Anita when he had a bunch of, cuts and jumped in that bad river. So be careful where you jump, Fletcher. So yeah, Usyk, fuck chance, Ospreay fires back. This is probably the best match on the show, relatively speaking, or at least up there. Spanish Fly for 2, then they do the JYD headbutts after some reversals and an Os Cutter and a Poison Rana, which I hate. I hate that move. We get roll-ups, we get a Hidden Blade for 2, and then we get a Brain Buster for 2. They said a Liger Bomb. I'm going to call it a Proto Bomb because he's the Proto Star. We get a Styles Clash. We just get all this stuff going on. We get boom, and Ospreay gets the win, which it was a big goddamn deal that he got the win. That was cool. And commentary was killing time as the canvas was changed because that was smart because Ospreay bled a lot. And then Okada took on Rico Tate, and I don't care if Ricochet, or Rico Tate rather, is trying to lean into the heel heat and get, be an antagonistic dick, but there are ways to do it, but channeling anything that, is resembling anything that Andrew Tate says, yeah, there's a reason that people make fun of you for the fact that you dated Tessa Blanchard, and you have trained at the, the Vision Team Dojo, I believe is what it is, at Chasen Rance, who, Chasen Rance is? Look up that name. Because it's all out there. You're going to train something like that, and you're going to make questionable decisions and make something like that. Maybe, Rico Tate has always been like this. And the more he talks, the less people like him. And he wants to snipe back at people. He is not capable of sniping back at people. He is constantly getting schooled, as the kids say, by various Twitter users. So it's the Continental Classic semifinal match, Okada versus Rico Tate. And you know what? Okada at one point just ran around and then slapped the back of his head, which is funny. The na, hey, you're bald chance. Yeah, Rico Tate was thrown off by this. He would hit some moves, but it's really bothering him. In a fucking company full of wrestlers that are triggered easily by things, I think Rico Tate might be the easiest target. And yeah, he does have a shooting star press at one point, but gets hit with a drop kick and gets hit with the Rainmaker to a big pop, and there you go. And then somebody throws some TP at Rico Tate, because that's what they did on Collision when he faced up against Ospreay. And then Swerve shows up and he knocks Rico Tate for basically just, saying you were going to win and you didn't. So I vowed to embarrass you, and here's Nana with a wagon full of toilet paper that he hands out to people, and then they shower him with toilet paper. I mean, that's fitting because his promos are shit. I'll say this much. This better actually just be an act, because if not, if Samantha is a decent person, then she needs to get the fuck away from him. If she thinks the same way he does, then that pretty much eliminates all the goodwill that she had. So Rico Tate actually better pull his, bald head out of his bald ass and actually figure out what the hell he's going to do, because he's in his mid-30s. He can't go back to WWE. And at this point, AEW, I don't think they're leaning into it where, it's going to be for good heat. No, people genuinely do not like him. He has really, really turned the goddamn crowd off. So, then, they check on Ospreay. Renee talks about the finals and Okada being his mentor, and, well, fans, you're going to need to carry me through this because I'm fucked. Then Thunder Rosa came out with a piñata and her face painted in jean shorts, and God, she always looks good. And then Mariah May came out in some weird top and pants, and she was ready for this Tijuana street fight. It is Mariah May defending her AEW Women's Championship against Thunder Rosa. And both these women, very talented, very good looking, but especially very talented. Mariah's time in Stardom and her ascent and her run in 2024 has been very good. Some criticize me because I put Thunder Rosa on my favorite wrestlers list and Toni Storm in the honorable mentions. It's my list. I stand by it. But Thunder Rosa showed that she absolutely smashed it, can smash it here. And Mariah was there for everything. I'm not going to say this match is perfect. They laid the shit in early on. And there were chairs, and at one point there was a chain being used. Tequila in the eyes, that'll make you cry. And then there was a board spear. By the way, Thunder Rosa's dad was there because apparently Mariah May had been making overtures to make the dad watch as she beats the shit out of Thunder Rosa. Why? I don't know. And then a bottle to the head at one point. Nice back and forth. At one point, the piñata was full of tacks. I'm sick of the thumbtacks. I don't care. It's man, woman, animal, vegetable, mineral. I'm sick of the thumbtack stuff. I've been sick of it since well before AEW came along. It just... And Thunder Rosa got laid out in the tacks anyway, so she brought out the tacks and then got laid into him. So I'm like, okay, they just made her look foolish for no reason. And then Mariah takes her dad's cane... And then she wraps up her knee in barbed wire and then runs into the steps. But then at one point, Thunder Rosa gets a chain around and starts choking Mariah May. And, I've seen movies like this. And then at one point, there's dirt from the Tijuana graves that was in this bag that Mariah found and threw in Thunder Rosa's eyes. And then they did a table bump. And Mariah got the victory. And I'm not upset that Mariah got the victory. I'm like, it wasn't the best match I've seen. It was hard hitting. I think they used the weapon spots well enough. But again, they could have done without the thumbtacks. Still love Thunder Rosa, though. And Mariah May has certainly excelled. MJF and Cole had a Dynamite Diamond Ring match that, Jesus Christ, stop. Just stop. Stop. Just stop with this shit. Bennett and Taven were supposed to be protectors of the ring. And... MJF targeted the ankle. And at one point, Cole was bleeding. Cole is not believable in this role anymore. He's not. Stop it. A Panama Sunrise, a boom kick, and then another attempt, and MJF collapses. And then everybody's yelling at each other. MJF fakes that Bennett and Taven hit him, so the referee gets rid of him. He gets the ring. Cole ends up super kicking him, gets the ring, gets a low blow. While Bennett and Taven were trying to distract, while Cole was trying to use the ring. And then a heat seeker, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, MJF a great heel. Don't get me wrong, I'm not upset that he won this, but yeah, 3-on-1, he managed to get the victory. And then he goes up to, he's going to Pillmanize, actually, Cole's ankle, and then here comes Roderick Strong. And then suddenly Kyle O'Reilly finds MJF on the stage after he retreats to the stage, and they throw him in there, and they beat him up in this feud won't end. And oh boy, the Undisputed Era reunited, only they're more injured and incapable of cutting promos. Jesus Christ, Tony. For the love of God, please. Just pay people to sit at home until they're healthy. And I like Bennett and Taven are the healthiest of the 5. And they're a good team, but nobody will care about them because they haven't been utilized properly. And, by the way, the fans were booing a lot of what Adam Cole was doing because they don't want to see this shit. Don Callis joins commentary for the Alphaba Konosuke Takeshita against Powerhouse Hobbs. And, yeah, I know what the hell. I know he's called the Alpha. Work with me here. Wicked is on my mind. Along with the other 335 movies that I've watched this year. Yeah, I know, quite a few. AEW International title. There were meat chants. Apparently Hope Solo was somewhere in the crowd. Hobbs tossed him around, hit a few apron slams. A knee drop on the apron by Alphaba, that was certainly tough. Focus on the knee. Hobbs kept fighting back, hit a nice lariat. There was a nice blue thunderbomb, but just for one. I will say this could have used a couple minutes cut off of it, because there were a few times where I think they could have gone to the finish early. A top rope stumbling, and a spine buster for 2. We got an avalanche slam and a bad knee, so, Hobbs couldn't capitalize. And then the brace was taken off the knee. Aubrey even had to help at one point because Hobbs was having issues with it. And then a guillotine and some kind of weird falcon arrow thing, raging fire, I think is what Excalibur called it, 1, 2, 3. So, okay. I mean, I'm not against, the Alphaba Konosuke Takeshita getting the victory. What I am against is the fact that they have just totally neutered Hobbs already. Like, I don't know what you do with it. They were damned if they did, they were damned if they didn't. And now Takeshita gets to go to the Dome. I don't remember. I think he has a match against Shingo in the Dome for Wrestle Kingdom 19. And then whoever wins that faces off against Ishii. Mercedes against Chris Statlander, TBS title match. Okay, first things first. This wasn't as good as their Full Gear match. First things second, which isn't how any of that works. They worked hard here. They did some good stuff. And third things first. This absolutely needed to be about 7 minutes shorter than it was. And I will explain. Double knees to the barricade. So, that was a good way to get started. By the way, TBS Championship, Mercedes and Chris Statlander. It was nice that Statlander lifted her up in a slam and then slammed her once she got back up the steps. That was cool. Death by Snoo Snoo. Another slam. And look, they were doing some good stuff. There was a nice backbreaker. There was some nice offense here. A powerbomb on the apron to Statlander. And then this kind of fell apart because the Three Amigos parts after Statlander came back and we got some near falls after Tornado DDT. The Three Amigos that turned, I think, into the 6 or 7 Amigos because Mercedes just kept hitting it. We got a package driver at one point. That was just a 2 count. And then they do a move where they go to the outside. The apron skirt comes off of the ring. And then then they try to do something convoluted where it's like, she's just beating on Statlander and then gets back in the ring, but then stops to count and then does a convoluted thing where she puts her foot in the goddamn, like where the strings and everything are, where it's holding the ring mat down, the canvas. And that would have worked, except obviously she could have gotten her goddamn foot out and they kept shooting it like that and it just dragged and this really, really dragged. I don't know why in the world there was this weird tombstone variation on the goddamn ring after they could have almost had the count out. And then they had another near count out. And then we had the statement, we had the STF. Statlander got to the ropes. It worked better at Full Gear because there was more of a chance of Statlander gain the victory there. But Mercedes taking on Mina Shirakawa in the Dome coming up soon. I think it was pretty obvious Statlander was going to lose. And then we get a weird roll-up variation and Mercedes gets the victory. And there were good parts to this, but do not tell me this needed to go almost 25 minutes. I'm sorry, it didn't. Other matches on the show did not need to go as long as they did. This could have easily had 7 minutes cut off of it. It still probably would have been too long, but it would have accomplished what it needed to. A standing ovation for Statlander. I don't know where they go with Statlander from here. What is she going to do? Face Mercedes at Revolution and beat her? I think the ship sailed on that. And then Ospreay against Okada in a Continental Classic final. It was not as good as Ospreay versus Fletcher. It was better than Okada versus Rico Tate. Will was all bandaged up. JR was on commentary. Stop having JR on commentary. He can't do it anymore. Okada targeted the head. Okada, when he wants to fire up, can do some good stuff, but he's on the downhill slide. I think he's going to be 37 pretty soon. If he's not already, and I just don't think that he has it anymore. He had flashes of the old Okada here, but there was a nice, some nice offense back and forth, some chops that were echoing, an Os cutter outside, a drop kick that just looked like it really bloody hurt. A Styles Clash for 2. A Rainmaker just for 2. That was surprising. Ospreay was bleeding again. And then a Spanish Fly out of nowhere for 2. We had no selling. A Stormbreaker. And it looked like Will might actually pull it up. But nope, he got hit with another Rainmaker 1, 2, 3. So there you are. That's the end of that. And Daniels shows up and says, this is normally where I would present this title to you. But as of today, I am no longer an EVP. But this man is. And it is Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is back because Kenny Omega in a week is going to face off against Gabe Kidd in the Dome. Because, that's something that the world needs to see is Kenny Omega carry that slop fest. But that being said, Kenny Omega shows up, big pop, and the crowd was all happy. And he presented the title to Okada, and everybody's all excited. Oh, they're going to have Okada versus Omega 5, because remember, they had that trilogy in 2017, I think, or they had a trilogy in 2017. They had the match at Wrestle Kingdom 11, I believe. They had another one where they had where Omega won. They had it basically where they were 1-1-1. And then Dominion 2018 was kind of the tiebreaker, so to speak. It was a 2 out of 3 falls, 65-minute long match where Omega got the victory. And it was a big deal, and it was a really good match, don't get me wrong. Even I got into it. And the thing is Omega and Okada could have their one AEW match at Revolution or possibly All in Texas. I'm going to say this much, though. Omega doesn't have a lot of time left. He's 41, coming off of a bunch of injuries, a bout with diverticulitis, and I don't know how long he has left. But big reaction, and it's cool. It's nice to see it, but we got to keep our expectations tempered. So, then we have Jon Moxley with Marina Shafir and a pair of handcuffs for that briefcase that is about as stoic and basically as, hard to understand as a storyline. No, hard to care about this storyline. It's not hard to understand, it's just hard to care about this fucking bullshit. Moxley against Jay White against Hangman against Orange Cassidy. A 4-way for the AEW title match. Okay, so, yeah, they go into the crowd. Security does a bunch of stuff, to try and, get the interference out of there, I guess. A shield bomb that causes Moxley to bleed from the back of the head because he's an idiot. Everybody just does their shit. Christian Cage is in the box while Shayna Wayne is there, Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian, and then Hook's over there. Or Hook. That's all you're going to get right there. Oh, look. Ref bumps. Interference. Wheeler Yuta's parents should be arrested for letting him reach adulthood, by the way. And, okay, Marina Shafir took a Blade Runner. That was fine for what it was. And the Death Rider, or whatever the hell it is, that DDT that he hits, 1, 2, 3, so Jay got pinned. And the crowd went flat, because none of this is any fucking good. Here's FTR, and suddenly, lights out, graphics, the Adam Copeland is back. That's not surprising. He was obviously going to come back to team up with FTR, and now it's FT rated R, which, okay, or rated FTR, whatever. They hit the ring, the Adam Copeland does his spear on Moxley, and then basically kind of calls him a kid, and okay, I'll say this much. The Adam Copeland against Moxley, at least it's a fresh match. I don't think they're going to wait till Revolution to do it, but it would be nice if they did. But this Death Rider stuff is bullshit. I'm sorry, it is fucking bullshit. It is bad. It is really bad. It's worse than the devil shit. Because that devil shit, yeah, it went on for months, but here's the thing. Even though this MJF Adam Cole thing may still be going, this Death Rider stuff, I think, is worse. Because it's dragging everybody down. And it's getting to the point where, starting in 2025, I'm going to watch as much AEW programming as I can, weekly programming. But if there are weeks that I skip because of this horseshit, don't be surprised. That being said, I hope you all have a terrific 2024. Here's to a great 2025. Let's see what happens. And let me know your thoughts on the show in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.